Hello everybody, Last Planeswalker here, and today we are doing a Planeswalker review of a Planeswalker that I bought because it's an Otter. I'm gonna get that out of the way. I didn't buy it because it sounds cool or the abilities are cool. I bought it solely because it's an Otter. I know that's probably utterly ridiculous to do, but here we are. So this is Ral Crackling Wit from bloomburrow. He's red blue, third iteration of Ral. His mana bonuses aren't the best. We got neutral to white, black, green, and 4 to blue, 4 to red. Probably not the best spread, but with enough conversion, it can work. Loyalty abilities are quite cheap. We've got a 7, an 8, and a 14. For 7 loyalty, you will destroy a block of 3x3 gems, pick 2 of the first 4 spellcards from your library, create a copy of those cards in your hand. Doesn't give them mana, so it's could be a bit of a letdown, but I kind of like using it in conjunction with loyalty ability 3 for the 14, but we'll get into that in a minute. For 8 loyalty, Lightning Chases, you create 7 Izzet Otter tokens, then the first spell card in your hand gains 6 mana. So the Otter tokens, there we go, are blue-red, 0/1, deal X with prowess, deal X damage to the first opposing creature and the opponent's planeswalker. X is the number of Otter cards you control, including the reinforcements, up to 15. This ability triggers only once during each turn. So it's not bad, but it's very thematic, which I'll explain more in a minute. And it stops it from looping, so you can't loop damage, which kind of a smart move, but kind of a disappointment. I think 2 times per turn should be good. And then Storm Apprentice with 14 loyalty. You create 4 Storm Otter tokens. So they are Storm Otter blue-red supports, 3 shields, prowess, create a copy of the first spell card from your library in your hand, copy cards in your hand, gain 4 mana. This ability triggers only once during each turn. At the beginning of your turn, if you control another Otter, deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is this support shield. So beginning of your turn is uncapped, which is great. You can do as much damage as possible if you have reinforcements. The prowess is kind of nice because you can pretty much, if you cast off a spell and you've got 2 copied spells in your hand, they're going to get full mana. So all the abilities work together. That's the really good thing. None of these abilities are more dominant than the other. I really think Lightning Chasers and Storm Apprentice really work well together, so having one for 8 and one for 14 is quite cheap. They don't do a lot of game over damage, but with 15 Otter tokens, which is pretty much 2 casts of this, of Lightning Chasers, you could pretty much have an opponent with 15 health, cast a non-damage spell and end the game. So it is useful. The biggest issue with Ral, in my personal opinion, is nothing to do with his mana gains or his abilities, because the mana gains and the abilities all work together and they're very powerful together, not singular. Destroying blocks can be really good for cascading. The Izzet tokens and Storm Otter tokens just work perfectly for casting that first spell, so copies will gain mana, you'll also gain 6 mana, you'll deal some damage, so it's kind of a very tight package. Issue being is it's a very thematic walker around Otters, which for me, I don't care. With the other Rals, they're more about spell slinging, so any spells will do, any sports that really help with spells or creatures that help with spells, you're golden. Here, not really much. You really do need Otters in this deck to actually help, which isn't a problem since bloomburrow has brought some quite nice Otters in deck. But if the new sets coming forward don't have any Otters in the future, then you will probably just end up relying on the Lightning Chasers and the Storm Apprentice as your main generation. Well, Lightning Chasers will be the biggest generation for the Otter tokens, and then you could probably get away with in the future having 2 creatures with ways to boost shields. So I think Guff the Vanguard does that, but I don't actually use Vanguards in my deck. I'm very naughty. So on about the decks, we have 2. Small but Mighty, which is my peasant deck, and yes, I like Otters. Again, no lie, I only bought Ral for Otters. I have noticed he has got a higher life total than Ral 1, which is 102 to 113, but I really do think he should have a passive to generate an Otter token or something to help with his copy, because he's a little bit slower than other Rals. Maybe just a passive that means if you have an Otter in play, you can get like your copied cards get a certain amount of mana before you can even cast your or when you deal a copy, when you cast a copy spell, create an Otter token. Maybe that would have been fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to showcase the I always get them wrong. Pauper is common and uncommon, peasant is common and common rare. So we'll do the peasant deck first. So I've called this one small and mighty because they're all quite small. So we got the Frumming Bird, which is a 1/1 bird horror, 9 mana blue. When a creature control deals combat damage to your opponent's Planeswalker, proliferate and escalate. We can ignore escalate because there's no oil tokens in play, but proliferate will give me 1 loyalty. If both creatures get 1/1 and your Vanguard sports gain 1 shield. And you read the next chapter of each saga. There's a reason that's in there. And then we actually have an Otter Wizard, which is kind of my favourite. Elenia Divergent Storm, 18 mana rare. When you cast a spell card for the first time, your opponent gains 5 loyalty. Not a big fan of that, but then you create a copy of that spell in your hand. That copy gains 4 mana, so it's a bit of a trade-off. For 5 loyalty, you get a full mana spell. Helm of the Gods, if you control 2 more sports, target creature gains +3/+3 and first strike. So what you really want to do is you want to be giving Helm of the Gods to Elena, Frumming Bird, and the tokens. And with Frumming Bird having proliferate, every time you attack, all your creatures gain an extra +1 because they'll be buffed. It just means having a 0/1 token can get a little bit more damage in play. Molten Collapse is your removal, so you destroy the opposing card. It's a 9 mana rare. Great Tree and Heist from Outlaws. It's a spree, 15 mana. Create 3 gold tokens. Creatures gain +3/+0 and gain first strike. And then you reinforce each creature control 2 times on turn. All I really interested about is spree 1 for the gold tokens to get extra mana, and spree 2 just for the extra buff. Hell to Pay, again, deal X damage to target creature Planeswalker, then create X gold tokens, X number of red gems. Again, that is just really nice for extra mana to cast things. Sunken Citadel, I've just really been having some fun with this. When the spot enters the board, convert 7 gems to the most present colour, increase all your positive mana while by 2. So having a 6 to blue, 6 to red kind of mitigates the steps type. So like instead of like -1 and blah blah blah, just because it's like neutral to all of them but 4/4, then having both of them as 6 each kind of helps. And then Leyland Guild Pack, 18 rare, beginning turn, convert 6 gems to Planeswalker's colours, overflow, destroy all gems of Planeswalker's colours. So overflow is when this card enters your hand, if you have 5 more cards, it's exiled and a special effect happens. I just usually do that for maybe destroying some of my gold tokens, or just trying to get Cascade. Key to the Vault, new favourite card. It's a 16 mana rare. Sorry about that, I've got sneezing everywhere and I'm trying to mute it on camera because there's usually 1 takes because I do not have the magical skills to edit. When your first creature deals combat damage to your opponent's Planeswalker, draw a card and that card gains 4 mana. Again, it's just so I can get stuff for free. I'm not such a big fan of this one, but it's just there because I want to master it. Artisan's Talent, 13 mana. When you discard a card for the first time during each turn, increase this card's level by 1. When you cast a spot card, discard a card, then draw a card. Then perform one of the following effects according to this card's level. 3 or more, reduce the cost of each spell card in your hand by 3 until the beginning of your next turn. 5 or more, deal 5 damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. So I just kind of like it for the reducing the spells a little bit and just extra damage. So this is my, I'm just going to call it a rare deck because I've just realised it's all rares. So my rare deck, which is kind of a glass cannon build, which we will see. And if we're going to face green, then we've probably lost. Green at the moment is one of the strongest colours. Except for red with bloomburrow. When you see what I've created in my mythic heavy build, it dominates the playing field. Some days. Depends what Greg's running. So we've got Frumming Bird first, so let's make a blue match. So that's going to get us Frumming Bird down. They've got a big cascade, but it didn't get them anywhere. So we're going to lock down one Helm of the Gods for now. Because we haven't really got anything to use it with. Hate that card. So we need to get the kind of train rolling. But Greg is having all... Oh, that is not the card we wanted. So with this deck, it is very much a glass cannon. I have lost more than I won with this deck, which is very bad to admit. But at the same time, this deck is kind of useful for other stuff. Let's see, so Sunken Citadel, and more tokens. Oh, I don't like that card, that's evil. This giant is bonkers good. It's Roaring Prophet, from Plus 2, beginning of turn, destroy X cards in your library. X is the number of red and green gems rounded down. Then for each card destroyed, you gain 2 mana. End of the turn, draw no mana from your hand and then deal white damage to each non-token creature and to your opponent's Planeswalker. Why is the amount of mana drained? Honestly, that is probably one of the most brutal creatures out there, because if you can combine it with something like Galter and I can't remember what the saddle, Gitrog, and Gitrog, for example, then you can do some pretty serious damage, because with Gitrog you can destroy Galter, and then when Galter's destroyed, you draw cards, give them mana. This creature will then just drain all their mana, and you could end up winning. So we want to try and get him off the board as quickly as possible, but I don't think that's going to work this turn. So tons of gold, yeah. I really hate that Helm of the Gods keeps trying to want to... I think Omnipath is the one that keeps triggering that. I think if I lose this, then we'll have to go do another match and pray that I do well. And how much... Yeah, that giant is nuts. I did not stand a chance. Again, this is a very much glass cannon build. I think the problem with this role, I've noticed that he needs a very specific way to build, and a lot of these strong meta cards for red are not in common rarity type. Well, rare, common, uncommon. It's more the mythics and the masterpieces in red that are dominating PvP at the moment. Not PvP, dominating training grounds. So we'll try one more time with the rare, because I do want to highlight Ral's flaws. Again, Salcon, this is just going to be a massive conversion fest for Galter and other shenanigans, unless this is a player that wants to be very, very nice and use very mediocre cards. And then if he wants to use mediocre cards, I'm happy. And then I can potentially win and show how okay this deck is. Right, so we want to get conversion down first. So green into red to try and cascade. Didn't work. I think everything as it is fine. So we're just going to keep trying to cascade into a land. I think this is where a extra for the mana bonuses could help, which is why Sunken Citadel's in the deck. We do have the Izzet tokens, so they're going to go down now, because the Izzet tokens will be useful later on. And I really just like the artwork for the Izzet tokens. So Molten Collapse is ready, so we're just going to pause Molten Collapse. Whatever Greg decides to cast next, then we'll have Molten Collapse ready to... Oh, it's that thing. Okay, that one's not too bad, but Let's get rid of it before we cast another card, because I don't really want to give Salcon any loyalty at this moment in time. So as you saw, Izzet dealt, I think it was 8 damage. I don't know why it dealt. Was it 8? Let's have a look. I think Izzet dealt 8, but it should have been only 7. Yeah, it dealt 8. I don't know why it dealt 8. Some odd cards you control, including the reinforcements, but there's only 7 otters on the board. Let's not go into it. I probably misread something. That's kind of happens to me. So we've got Key to the Vault, and then we got that one. Okay, and it's actually not a bad deck. So we're going to use Leyland Guildbag just to board wipe to get some stuff in, and then we'll create some Ozet tokens. I really do love the artwork. Look how happy these little otters are, surfing. Little surfers. They're adorable. So Key to the Vault, that's going to deal 9 damage to that. And then that's going to discard a card. I'm going to get some loyalty. Cool. Could win this without using our Helm of the Gods shenanigans, which is always good, but I do like Helm of the Gods. So let's see if we can try and pull into Helm of the Gods. So that will go off. Helm of the Gods twice. I'm going to pause that one for now. We're going to this red match. So Divergent Storm, we'll give it to this creature. That'll deal damage. Then everything gets mana thanks to the token. Then give all this Helm to the Gods. We'll give another one to the token. And then Thrumming Bird helps buff them up. And then we now have angry, well, damage dealing otters for once. Okay, Overflowing Chalice. And if I'm writing saying so, this should be game, set, and match. We'll take a Hell to Pay. Hell to Pay is a very good card for red at the moment. Not just dealing damage based on the red gems, and also having the ability to create gold tokens is always great. And then all the copies get mana. We'll do Hell to Pay. So we're kind of dominating at the moment. So you can do some Spellslinger shenanigans, but you really do need otters in play. So best ways to build this deck is always having 2 creatures and then relying off the otter tokens and the support, and then whatever 2 creatures you want that can help with spells. I've thematically gone with otters because I like otters. I'm probably utterly mad. Probably. I'll probably try and stop using otter puns, but that's not going to happen. So that's the rare deck. I don't mind it. I think if I'm in an event that requires rares, commons and rares, probably will use it more. But the deck that I actually prefer to use when it's finished claiming matches. Come on, Speedy. Game's a bit slow. There we go. Now, Light Yamagami. If he's got the Death Note, I'm done for. So the next one is, yes, I like otters. And this is the deck. This deck is insane. So we got Alani Divergent Storm, which we know. We got Storm Splitter, 9 mana Mythic Red, Otter Wizard. When you cast a spell card, if it's not a copy, create a copy of that card in your hand, otherwise reinforce its creature. So every time you cast a non-copy spell, you're going to make a copy. If you combine that with the third, that copy will eventually get full mana. Ikamar Gauntlet, when you activate a loyalty ability or a Vanguard ability, Proliferate Escalate, we know what they do now. And if you have 10 or less loyalty, gain an extra swap. When you cast a spell or support a spell card, Proliferate Escalate. That's to combo with Helm to the Gods, because 1/4, 3/5, unique kind of way to beef them up. This is kind of one of my favourite damage dealing cards for red. It's a 23 loyalty masterpiece. At the beginning of your turn, if this card in your hand reduces card by X, X is the number of creatures in play. So that's not just your creatures, it's all creatures in play, including their reinforcements. Deal 15 damage to each opposing creature and your opponent's Planeswalker. So it's a 23 mana, very expensive, but gets a heavy reduction based on different amount of cards in play, including tokens. So the tokens you put in are 7, so it takes 7 off, so it's kind of helpful. Season of the Bold, shout out to Main Loop, who has talked about this card. It's blooming insane. 10 mana red mythic. Spree 1, exile the first 5 cards in your library, then draw a card. Spree 2, deal X damage to the first opposing creature and your opponent's Planeswalker, X in the cards in your exile. Spree 3, create 4 gold tokens. It's quite nice. Sunken Citadel. We know what that does. Desolate Mire. Now, I love this card. It's a 10 mana masterpiece land. Activate white 4 and activate black 4. So 4 whites, activated whites will give you 6 mana and 3 loyalty per activation gem. Activate 4 black, creatures control gain death touch and lifelink. Really good for the 3x3 block destroyer from his first. So it's going to give you lifelink, death touch, loyalty, mana. Perfect masterpiece, I think. It's one of my favourites. And then Leyline the Guild Pact, which we know. Keys of the Vault, we know. So this is more my mythic masterpiece heavy deck, and this one usually shreds. But we're first seeing Liliana of the Veil. I'm kind of worried, especially like Yamagami. He might have a death note on it, and if he has the death note, time, day, name of Ral Crackling Wit, game over. So let's see how we go. So as we're loading in, we've got nothing good. Now, Blasphemous Act, I'm going to lock down. We'll go for this match. It'll give us a bit of a cascade. That was a good cascade to get into. So if Liliana casts a very cheap creature, then it doesn't, so it's not good. Alania, Divergent Storm. I'm going to go into that one. Bit of a cascade. Perfect. Oh, I haven't seen that card in a while. So we'll cast that. Create our Otter tokens. Okay, there we go. So we've got plenty of Otter tokens in play. We've got Desolation Mire, so we're going to try and get that onto the board as well. No, but look, 15 is going to come back to the board. I keep forgetting it does that. But then more damage. So far we've already hit for quite a bit of damage. We've got Guild Pact, which we're going to use to destroy. See if we can copy into some spells. Season of the Bold and a Helm of the Gods. So we're going to red match. There we go. So we don't have enough support on the board at the moment to trigger Helm of the Gods, so it's not good, but all the damage we're doing to our opponent is kind of nice to see. But Liliana's got a huge stack of loyalty, and when Liliana's loyalty stacks, it's never a good sign. Oh, our poor Otters. Have no fear, Otters, I shall avenge you. In style. We have more Otters. Okay. Right, we're not going to make any matches into the activated gems. So we'll just go to red here. Helm of the Gods to this one. And then obviously we're going to copy another Helm to the Gods. Deal 8 damage. See, everything just seems to work perfectly. Which is kind of why I'm kind of glad that the prowess isn't like X amount of times per turn, because having it X amount of times per turn could really loop and make it less of a fun walker and more of an irritation to face. Could have made it a little bit more stronger. I'm not going to say it's one of the strongest walkers in the game, because it's not. It's more like a thematic walker that you play for some fun. He does have some uses in coalition events and other events, especially ones that say cast X amount of spells or create X amount of tokens, because you're going to be making 7 tokens every second loyalty. So if it's cast 15 tokens, you can get that done in 3 turns max. So there's some benefits to it. Liliana Vale's pretty much annoying me at the moment. No, we don't want to cascade too much, so we're going to make some Otter tokens. I'll give us an extra turn, so we're going to green, and then we'll do... Okay. And game over. Well, that was fast. See, this one I've never had trouble winning. It's kind of powerful. The third, being able to give full mana to copies, is kind of good. I would say this walker is probably not the strongest RAL. I say RAL 1's the strongest for spell slinging. This is more of a thematic type deck, so you really do need Otters. But it is quite powerful with the second and the third that works together. It's also one of the very rare walkers where all 3 abilities kind of work together and they're not... I don't know how to word it. There's a lot of walkers out there where you favour the first, second, or third ability. I'm not getting into another match over anything else. So with RAL 1, for example, your biggest focus is Profit, Research, and Flex of Genius. Rechargeable Blast, I barely use. Others might, but I always think like picking a spell card, picking a card and giving it mana, and then dealing 6 damage every time you cast a spell, and then drawing a card is always good. He does have higher mana gains than the current RAL, 5/5 -2, whereas the current RAL is 4/4 on the board. If you do get this walker, be warned, it's very thematic, so if you are going to put a deck, you really need 2 creatures that are going to benefit from spells, and a way to give your Otter tokens some power so they can deal damage. There's quite a few in play. One of the cards I was going to test with, but I haven't had a chance to yet, is... It's a mythic, Mabelhead Crackel. When this creature enters the battlefield, create a Crackel token. When a mouse enters the battlefield and control, that creature gets 1. The Crackel token, your first creature gains XX and gains Tremble Haste into turn, X spot shield. Something like that could work. There's probably other creatures that you will have that could probably do as much damage. Overall, is it worth getting for in real life cash? Depends on why you want to buy it. If you want to buy it for a new walker that's going to dominate the meta, I probably would wait for gold. I think getting for gold and then just have a play around might be the safest option. If you want to get it because you're a numpty like me who really loves Otters and just wants an Otter that looks like a mint humbug, then yes, buy it for in real life cash. Overall, decent enough walker, but there's better RALs out there. So kind of glad I tested it, and I think I'm going to have some more fun over the years, over the sets, just finding new ways to tinker and break it. So the next set is all on the horizon, Dustmore, and so there might be ways to copy spells in that or give other creatures damage. So we'll see how it goes. So overall, an okay walker, and I would recommend him for gold. I wouldn't recommend him for in real life purchase at the moment. I would say gold is probably the better choice. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.